Marie Byrne from Knockanure, and also John Fenton from Knockanure as well. Good morning, folks.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you keeping?
Good now.
Now, we have a heartwarming story. This is a lovely story, isn't it? For people that don't know, tell us a little bit about it. This is the fabulous idea of giving the gift of life through a liver transplant. Talk me through it.
Yes, my little baby girl, Marie Byrne.
She's 21.
She's currently 21 months old. We found out at 3 months old that she had a condition called biliary atresia. She was initially diagnosed in Cork University Hospital and brought to Crumlin Hospital where they did further tests, and subsequently ended up going to King's College Hospital in London, where they performed a procedure called a Kasai procedure, which is a replumbing job. So the biliary atresia is actually a liver condition where the bile can't flow properly from the liver, and it's backing up and damaging the liver. So the liver was under enormous pressure, and she was jaundiced. They did what they call a replumbing job. So they took away all the bad parts of the veins coming out of the liver, and used parts of her intestine to try to drain off that bile. Unfortunately for Emily, this wasn't a success. She ended up spending 4.5 weeks over in London in 2017, and we were allowed home after those 4.5 weeks, and within a week she was re-hospitalised to Cork and transferred up to Crumlin. From that, on the 13th of November, we were told that she had to go back over to England for a transplant assessment of the liver. And on the 22nd of November 2017, she was officially listed as requiring an urgent liver transplant.
The story, I suppose, was first highlighted. There was deep concerns about the highly unreliable phone service in Knockanure,
Yes.
which sounds unbelievable at this day and age. But
Yes, because Knockanure is, as a lot of people say, in the back of beyond, but even though there's a lot of things coming out of Knockanure, a lot of businesses, etc.
A lot of positivity there,
yes,
yeah.
Our mobile reception isn't fantastic, and where I have built the house with my husband Sean, the phone reception with Air, Vodafone and O2 isn't fantastic.
Has it got any better?
The mobile phone reception hasn't got any better, but our landline, which was the main phone point, has improved. I was given a direct line after our interview here in January of 2018, and also the school has been upgraded as well, but the rest of the parish, unfortunately, we were told by Air, will not be touched because they're not touching landlines. Landlines are not a priority.
John, where did you come into this story? Remind our listeners.
We're very good friends with Sean and Marie, and when I found out that Emily was going on a transplant list, I just looked into the possibility of me being a possible donor. So it was a good chance to help save a little girl's life and help out two friends in the process as well.
Did you have to think long and hard about it? Were you worried about going through the procedure?
No, didn't really have to think too long and hard about it, to be honest. It was an obvious thing for me to do, so I was more than happy to go ahead and do it. There was a lot to think about as regards just for myself, aftercare for myself and stuff, and what I had to put in place. But to be honest, to make the decision, it wasn't a very hard decision at all to make.
Anne-Marie, when you heard of this and the best neighbour in the world.
Yes. Initially I was to be Emily's donor, but because of the amount of blood transfusions Emily required at the end of 2017, her the last blood transfusion that she got was in that would say outruled to me would have been in December of 2017, when again Emily's condition deteriorated enormously. So I had my workup done in King's College Hospital in November, and When we did repeated blood tests before, I flew over to meet all the consultants to go through everything, to finalise everything, that I was going to be her donor. Unfortunately, Emily's antibodies, because of all the blood transfusions, had increased, because when you're under 6 months old, your heart's body wouldn't have the ability to work up those antibodies to reject my liver, because I'm not a blood match for her. Sean's family would have been blood matches, but because of the intensity that they go through, there was different factors that outruled his family. So there was 6 friends that did, from just listening to me talking, offered to become Emily's donor. Emily, England are very, very strict with who they accept, so you have to make contact with them. We cannot promote or help or be seen to ask for somebody to become a good donor, because it is life-changing for both us, for John to approach us and want to become Emily's donor, and for the other 5 people that approached us as well. As they said, we can never thank John enough for what he's done. It is life-changing, and we have our daughter today.
John, how has it changed your life?
To be honest, it hasn't changed it physically. I'm back to more or less where I was before the operation happened. Just great that to see Emily running her own now and being what Emily should be, being the toddler that she should be.
What is it, the actual procedure? What do they do?
What they took from me was my left lateral segment, which is approximately 20% of my liver. So they went in through the front, from opening from my sternum down to my belly button, and removed the liver and removed the segment. Then it's not until they have the liver actually out that they know it's going to be a proper match for Emily at that stage.
When you were going into hospital to have the procedure done, just as you were being put under the anaesthetic, what were you thinking?
Just like, while I was over there, the care and the attention to detail from the hospital put me totally at ease. There was absolutely no question in my mind that everything was going to go 100%, and it has. It's been perfect, really, to be honest. It's been a perfect procedure.
Anne-Marie, how has it changed your lives? How has it changed Emily's life?
Emily was always a bubbly character pre-transplant. We couldn't get over the energy she had, because we were told that with the liver condition it is very hard to keep active and keep meeting her milestones. But she is a very strong, determined little lady. She has the red hair to go with that. And she proved that since her transplant. Thankfully, as John said, it's not until his liver was actually taken out that we knew that it was going to be a match for Emily. So John went down to theatre at 8 o'clock. They took Emily just before 10 o'clock, and it was midday that we were told that yes, Emily was definitely going to get the transplant. Emily is very, very bubbly now. She's flying around the place at home, thankfully. There is an awful lot of ups and downs, and still in and out. We're home now with 2 weeks.
Yeah, you did another procedure recently.
Yeah, she was readmitted 2 weeks ago for another procedure. She had a biopsy, and unfortunately we lost what they call her Hickman line, because she had very bad veins back in 2017. We had to put in what they call a Hickman line, so it's a blood line that goes in near her heart, so they can access bloods and they can give antibiotics and infusions that she required pre-transplant. So now, unfortunately, every week that we go to the day unit in Cork University Hospital, unfortunately they have to do peripheral bloods, so it goes in through her actual veins. So she's not overly happy with me, but as I say, unfortunately this is part of her life now. John
and Anne-Marie, the support in the community, the fundraising, the support from people was phenomenal.
Unbelievable, to be honest. And I couldn't thank even work. I can't thank work enough to give me the time off. And
where's work?
I work for the Irish Naval Service. I'm a diver up there. So like the support I receive from them is unbelievable, and from my friends and family, and especially my wife, who's just been unbelievable to help.
Fantastic.
What's your wife's name?
Liz.
Special hello to Liz.
Yes, definitely.
Because as you say, Anne-Marie, like, you didn't know until the actual procedure takes place. So it's still a bit of a gamble, even though it should be okay. You still don't know until that moment. And this was actually the 11th of January of this year was actually our third date
Our first date was in September, our second date was in November, and thankfully it was third time lucky because Emily had been hospitalised until transplant. Her condition was massively deteriorating. To look at her, you wouldn't think that, but she was actually gone green. She was on constant antibiotics to try to keep away infection, and we were big time against the clock with her. And I knew that because I know her blood's inside out, upside down, nearly better than some of the doctors that deal with her properly, because that's the care and attention she did require, unfortunately. Not every liver transplant child and baby needs that care. Everybody is so different. But the main thing now is we have her at home. She is doing good, but she is extremely immunosuppressed. So unfortunately for us to get her out and about at the moment, it's very hard. And for people coming near us, just need to be mindful of, if they're sick, please don't come near us, because that can set Emily back massively, because she is on 2 anti-rejection medicines now at the moment, and she will be for the rest of her life on anti-rejection medicines. So this is not a cure, it's a way of buying us time, but hopefully the fact that everything went very well with John giving part of his liver, he's young, he's fit, he's healthy, these are all massive things for us, and hopefully it will do Emily her lifetime, and hopefully we won't have to go through this again.
For the support from the community? Absolutely
Phenomenal. The 2 fundraisers, the 2 big massive fundraisers that were held by the communities of Montmellery and Knockanure in 2017 were mind-blowing. There was an awful lot of other fundraisers. I just can't thank them all individually because there was so many. There was an awful lot from the horse-seeing crowd, which John and Liz would be very much interactive with. They've been fantastic. The other places that I'd like to thank as well is Bumblin's, Cleaner Ring Foundation, the Ronald McDonald Housing here in Crumlin and in in London, Resilience Care, and the home health support that I've received from family and friends. There's a certain members of family and friends that would have went that extra mile for us without naming them. They know who they are, just by simple gestures of coming, just clean the house, just trying to get me out of the house because it's very hard for me to leave Emily, and for those friends and family that would have just brought me a dinner, because at the very start it was just so hard to actually get time to eat and sit down. There's an awful lot of people, as I say, I don't want to mention names because I would forget somebody, but I just really love to thank everybody for their constant support. And as I say, to John and Liz and their families, without them I don't know where we would be with Emily today, because we were told in March when Kings came over that there was still no liver available for Emily if she had to wait, and as I say, we were unfortunately against the clock big time with her.
John, finally, no regrets?
None whatsoever.
Absolutely none. What would you say to anybody out there that's thinking of helping people regarding transplants?
Well, first of all, anyone should sign the donor card and speak to their family, because it is at the end of the day, it's down to your family to give the consent at the hospital. So have a chat with your family, make sure that they know your feelings on it. Give the consent, and just give the chance. Give someone else a chance.
Chance of life.
Give someone else a chance of life. Exactly.
It's a precious gift that we all can give. It is very hard. Especially if you're saying goodbye to a loved one, to be asked that question, but it is definitely a question I think that a lot of people need to consider, and people need to be mindful that it is your next of kin that actually calls the final answer. And even as simple as giving the blood donations, I must say, unfortunately, I always said I would give blood. It has only been of late that I've actually physically went to give blood because I was so nervous about doing it. So like, this has changed my life, and it shouldn't have taken this to change my life, but it did take this to change my life. So I'm hoping that other people will think about donating blood, organ donation, and I know it's a massive topic at the moment about Ireland being more with the live donations. Like, John is sitting here beside us after giving part of his liver. To look at him, you would know it, but what he has done for us, nobody will ever realise how much he has saved Emily's life.
like realistically, it hasn't taken anything from me to give it. So
Bar putting his life on hold for over a year.
yeah, but physically, in the end of the day, it hasn't taken anything from me. So I'm back after 8 weeks. My liver was after regenerating back to its full capacity, and I'm back again, 100%.
Anne Marie, thanks so much for coming in. John Fenton, and well done, and thank you to everybody in the Knockanure, Mellery communities, you say, the family and friends, and everybody in the Naval Service. I know quite a few of them down there. So listen, keep in touch, and we'll pop down someday and do a little piece with you with Emily at home. And
that'd be lovely. She'd love that.
yeah, we'll do something. We'll have her back with the West Waterford Food Festival shortly after this.